Swastiastu. Hello, good evening, everyone. So nice to see you again. Today, in this video, I would like to bring the presentation article with the title Incorporating Local Cultures in English Teaching Material for Undergraduate Students. So, this good article is researched and developed by Mr. Wijaya Mahardika. So, let's get started. Before I will start the presentation, let me introduce myself first. So my name is Kadek Intan Lestari. You can call me Intan. I'm from class A1 in Denpasar in 4th semester, majoring English Language Education Department. And then you can see on the slide, those are the tables of contents that I will use as a guidance for presentation today. So the first one is introduction. The second one is methodology. And the third one is result and discussion. And the last is conclusion. So let's move with the first one, which is introduction. In introduction, first thing first is background of the study. So the background of this study is the first one. Teaching material plays an important part in teaching and learning process. So especially with the shift of teaching learning focus from teachers centers to the student center, teaching material is a crucial part in teaching and learning. So with good teaching material, it will become a critical point that determines students' learning outcomes. So good teaching material can facilitate student learning and will prompt and sustain independent learning students. The second one, the teaching material should also take into account students' cultures and backgrounds. So because for language is inseparable part of cultures, and local cultures can be a good help in teaching English for non-native English speaker students. And then Denpasar State Hindu Dharma Institute, or IHDN, or now we also known as UHN, is a state university which one of the main objectives of the university is to educate future Hinduism teachers. And they are educated and trained in the Hinduism Education Department, arranged after HED. And for that, English is one of the important competence to be mastered by the students of the HED. And English teaching in the HED poses several unique conditions for lecture, which is the problem. So the first one is the specialized natures of the students. So the students need teaching material which provide them with English learning material and of course with Hinduism material. And the second one is the existing material for English course is considered to be heavy and relied heavily on reading. So like with no activities for listening and very little activities for speaking. And the last is the mindset of the students. So in this case, they do not want to study English because they think they will not need English for their study because of course they are Hinduism students. So from that, the author conduct research that aim to develop new material which will help and encourage the students in IHDN for learn English. And for these articles is there are no hypotheses that use. So we move to the methodology. So you can see on the slide. So the research and development study, and using a simplified version of the AD development model by Dick and Carey. And in the developing material, there were four stage of development. So the first one, it's blueprint phase, and then drafting phase, drafting testing phase, and the last is final production phase. So in the blueprint phase is aimed at observing the teaching learning process to identify the weakness of the existing material. So after the material was deemed acceptable, it was used in teaching learning activities in the draft testing phase. And the students were also asked to give criticism and opinion regarding the material. And the result of that then used to revise the material during the final production phase. And the result of the final production phase was ready to use in the field testing. And then in the field testing, the students were asked to fill out questionnaires about the material, which is the data were collected by observation and interview in the form of the instrument questionnaires. And then for the participants are 82 students of the first semester from HEDIA and HEDIB at the Denpasar campus. And the object of the study was to develop English teaching material for the students of Hinduism Education Department of IHDN Denpasar. Then from those methodology, we get the results and discussion. So we found some most important findings. So the first one is, during the blueprint phase, it was found that the existing material had three main weaknesses. Just the problem. So the first one is, material topics are considered too boring by students. So there were at least 5 reading texts, which the content of the text were considered to be too difficult, advanced for those student levels. Then the second one, the material is considered too difficult. So as I said before, it was found that the reading texts were too long, and then use advanced level of diction and use numerous vocabulary from foreign language. And then the material is less attractive. So the layout and presentation of the learning material is to monotone, and then many repetition and very boring for students. So from that, the researchers developed the material based on the student needs and use material which are culturally familiar for the student. And then for overcome the weakness, which is the problem of the existing material, the author developed the new material based on the needs of the students. So the first one, use simple reading text taken from various sources. The texts were selected based on the cultural familiarity with the student. So the author do this because with culturally familiar reading text, which will reduce the sense of foreignness of the students. The texts were selected based on their cultural familiarity with the students, and the sources are from newspaper articles, and then Hinduism textbook, and many more. And there are 8 texts selected for the 8 chapters of the course material. The first one is the gods of Balinese Hinduism, and then Balinese suffering, and then the text about Besaki Temple, and then traditional filling ceremony in Bali, and many more. And the second one, the difficulty level of the text was further reduced. So the reading text is modified according to the student's level. And this is done to reduce student difficulties in understanding the material. And this is done by shortening sentences, removing difficult words, and unnecessary information from the reading text. Then, beside that, for reduce the author, add the extra textual support, which is in the form of pictures, which provide information in line with the content of the reading. And then the material developed with add attractive pictures and color schemes. So with the addition of attractive pictures and color, it will reduce student bored. So the picture is not just black and white color. So with this, it is easier for students to understand the material, and they can think and imagine the picture in the material. And then many new activities have been added to the learning material. So as I said before, one of the weakness of the existing material was the monotonous activities in the material. So for overcome this, the new material was developed with various activities, like besides reading text. The new material incorporate relevant pictures and like colorful presentation, and then structural points, and then speaking activities, listening activities, writing tasks, and then language game. So all these activities were included to enable students to practice all the aspects of English. And after a process of revision and rewriting, the new material was then put into field testing, and the students were asked to review the new course. Then they asked to fill a questionnaires about the materials. So here you can see the results of the interview is presented in the following table. So from that, we can see the student prefer the new material rather than the previous material, and the student favor the existing material in terms of appeal, level of difficulty, enjoyment during study, material content, and overall preference. And the students claim that the pictures, color, language games, and language activities in the material help them reduce their anxiety and stress level. So from that, we can highlight two things. So the first one, the student needs must be the most vital factor in developing material, and then the students prefer the new material over that existing material due the culturally familiar materials. So from that, we got the implication. So with the development of a new learning material that suits the needs of students and adding cultural material, this will have an impact where students' learning becomes easier and increase student interest in learning. And with the new learning material, students become more enthusiastic and more motivated to learn English, even though they are majoring in Hinduism, because there are many various new activities in the material. And for the care recommendation is, based on the article, the care recommendation is, it is recommended for other researchers to also inquire the effectiveness of culturally familiar material compared to less culturally familiar material in teaching English in different level of learning. So because the result of this study confirms the notion that the culturally familiar material will help students in learning a foreign language. From that, we got the conclusion is, the conclusion of this article is, the incorporation of the culture material will help the students in learning English, because in the use of cultural material has decreased the foreign nuance of the material. So it can reduce the stress level and anxiety of the students due to the familiarity of the material. And the results of this study confirms the notion that the culturally familiar material will help students in learning a foreign language. So everyone, that's all the material today. I hope you understand and you got the point. So by the way, this is very good article. So thank you so much for watching. Santi. Thank you.